Hello, this is Ram55 coming at you with an old game that I just discovered. I've been looking at sailing simulators for quite some time, but never really could pick out one that I was really happy with. But I just got Virtual Sailor 5, and so far I have been very, very happy with it. So I'm still learning the game. We're going to play right now solo, which means I'm the only human in the game, and I'll be going up against AI boats, and we're going to be doing the Melges Cup. We're going to be doing tactical, which is kind of not quite like an arcade, not quite as a hardcore simulation. We're going to be doing medium length courses, and I'm going to be playing the role of the US boat. And you can see it's a round robin kind of race, and our first race is up against Australia. The yellow flags indicated the quality of the boats in the United States, actually at the higher end of the boats in all the fleet here, going up against Australia. So here we are thrown into the water, and like I said, I'm still learning this game, so I'm sure I'll be making some mistakes along the way. Now that blue arrow is indicating the direction of the wind, and down on the bottom you can see a lot of different information about, well, the clock is ticking down in the bottom left corner of that band of information. It also gives me the wind speed, wind direction, boat speed, heel, and all that kind of good stuff. Over on the right we have a compass with the direction of the wind relative to my boat. You control the sails with the buttons on the bottom right corner, and on the bottom left you'll see a bird's eye view of the map. So I was kind of figuring my way around here. Where do I need to go? Where's the starting line? And that yellow line you see bobbing up and down there, that yellow arrow, that is pointing to where I need to cross. When you're sailboat racing, you start off on the course side of the start-finish line, which is kind of unusual. And what you have to do is stay on that side until 4 minutes prior to the start, and then you can cross over that line to the non-course side, and then you wait around over there until the start of the race. And unfortunately, you can see I just picked up a penalty over on the right side beneath those flags. There's a 360 symbol. That means I have to do a 360-degree circle because I didn't get across that line early enough. So now we're down to about 1 minute and 20 seconds left before the start, and I'm just kind of tacking back and forth, looking at the wind, seeing which is the favorable side. Do I want to have a start with the port tack or the starboard tack, which one's favored, and kind of maneuvering against my opponent, who is the Australian boat, so I can get a good start, and we'll take it from there. But right off the bat, I've already got a penalty, so I'm at a disadvantage. So we're down to about 50 seconds before the start. What I'm going to try to do is come around and hit the starting line at full speed, and preferably on a starboard tack. In sailboat racing, it's all about the rules of the road. And one of the basic rules is a starboard tack boat. In other words, if the wind is coming over the right side of the boat, that's starboard tack, you have right of way over somebody who's on a port tack, or the wind's coming over the left side of their boat. So basically I'm a little bit early. There's about 20 seconds left before the start, and that boat to the right there, that green catamaran, is a committee boat. That's where the officials who are running the race sit, and they judge and kind of watch the start. And then down the far distance you can see that green buoy floating in the water just to the left of my sail. That is the start line, and I cannot cross that start line until this number gets down to 0. So here we go, we're getting ready. And the Australia boat is behind me on port tack. He had to get out of my way. Remember I told you he was the burdened boat. He had to give me the right of way, and for some reason he couldn't make that tack inside of the starting line. So he's going to actually have to restart. So that's a bonus for us, because I'm going to have to do a 360-degree turn. But because he didn't pass between the committee boat and that green buoy down at the far end of the course, he has to restart, and all he has to do is dip below and come back up, and he's good to go. So I've just completed my 360-degree penalty. Now, if the other boat had started well, he'd be off and running, and I'd be playing catch-up here on out. So in this game, you can see the map on the bottom left. It kind of shows you the mark that we're going to. It's that red one to the right of that map. And I can zoom in and zoom out. And right now the wind, in fact, there it was right there in the the distance. That green arrow indicates that the wind's coming off the left side of my boat. I was on port tack. Now I'm tacking through the wind and putting the wind on the right side of my boat, and now I'm on a starboard tack. So you can see off in the distance, Australia is also on a starboard tack, and we are quite separate just because of the way we started the race. So that green arrow that's following my boat around tells me the direction of the wind, and when I'm tacking, in other words going against the wind, when it's green, that means it's in the optimum position. I can't get any closer to the direction of the wind because my sails wouldn't be effective and be essentially luff, which is what they're doing right there. You can see that jib, the front sail on my boat, was kind of fluttering in the breeze. That means I was pointing too much into the wind, not because I changed the course, the direction of my boat, because the wind had actually shifted. It actually went further off the front of my boat, stalled my sail, and as a result didn't get the power I needed. That's why that sail, or the arrow, turned color. So I'm going to stay on this beat right here with the starboard tack until I get a little bit closer up to that buoy. Now you can see that buoy with the arrow pointing to it. The arrow points to the side of the buoy that I have to pass on, so I have to pass that buoy on the left side, and the buoy will pass down my right side. I just want to keep this course. Now the wind shifted again, and I can turn to the right to get it back green, and that was a veer. When the wind shifts to the right, it's a veer, and that means I can actually sail a little bit closer to that buoy that I have to mark, which I have to round. That's the first mark of this race. And you can see on the map view that the Australian boat is already tacked. They're not on port tack coming across. It looks like they're pretty far behind me, so we're doing pretty good right now. I wonder if the people on that cruise ship are watching the race, or if they're just gambling, drinking, having a good time as they're leaving. This is Rio de Janeiro. And if you look carefully at the map, you can see that the line from my boat, which is the yellow one, to the mark is almost 90 degrees from my side. That means I can tack and should be able to fetch that mark. Fetch means I can round it on this tack without having to do a couple of more tacks before I get there. So this looks pretty good. We're ahead of the Australian boat. I can get around this mark, and we're going to be in the lead here. Outstanding. Now you can see the arrow is blue now. That means I can point higher to the wind, but I really don't need to. And in fact, the direction I was going there with it being blue was actually a faster speed for my boat. So now I've just popped the spinnaker open. Got a nice American flag on the sail there. Yeah, definitely an American boat. And the next mark is that one that was marked off in the distance there. You can see it on the map on the left. And, I think that's going to be on the beam. The wind will be on the beam, so I'm not sure I can use the spinnaker. So I'm going to take that down, my jib back up. This is a sloop. Sloop has two sails, one mast. The sail attached to the mast is the mainsail, and the one in front of that little triangular one there, is the jib. And that's what we call a sloop. So basically I'm sailing toward that mark. Got a nice lead on the Australian boat, and we'll just bide our time, and we should get to that mark first. Down at the bottom you can see my BS. That's not for bull, it's actually for boat speed. We're doing 4.1 with about 17.7 knots of wind. Whoa. They are blowing by me. Better get my spinnaker up. I didn't think I could put the spinnaker up on this. I guess I wasn't paying much attention. We'll call that skipper error, but hopefully we'll be able to, with outstanding maneuvering and good boat speed and a great crew, be able to track them down. Why am I not going faster than this? I don't get it. I should be going quicker than this. It's pulling away from me. Got my sails up. The wind's at a good position. I'm pointing at the mark. It just kind of looks to me like he's going faster than me. He's flying. I'm doing 7.4 knots. Huh. Well, maybe when we round the mark here, this is the second mark, it's going to be passed to starboard. In other words, it's going to be on my right side. As soon as we round this mark, maybe my boat speed will pick up. Now you can get fouls while you're racing, and like I said, sailboat racing is all about the rules of the road. One of the fouls you get is if you hit that mark. You're not allowed to have any part of your boat touch that. I'm kind of flopping around here just trying to figure out where the next mark is and what the best course is. So if I touch that buoy, I got to do another 360, but obviously we rounded it. So I'm trying to get that green arrow to turn green again, which puts us in the optimum position. I tell you, that Australian boat is a mile away. What's going on here? Anyways, you can see the graphics on this thing are pretty outstanding. And it really does give you a sensation that you are on the water. Why am I so far behind? You can see the mark over there on the left side. That's what we have to get to. Why is he going so fast? I got my spinnaker up. I'm doing 7.6 knots. I don't understand this. Like I said, I'm learning the game, so there's probably some of you guys out there who play this regularly who are screaming, hey, you got to do this. So hopefully I'll figure it out here pretty soon. He's almost, looks like, to the next mark, and I am just falling further behind. So you can see this is a 4-man crew on this boat. I got 3 crew members that are sitting on the side of the boat. They're doing that just to balance the boat out. These boats sail best when they are sailed flat. They're planing boats. They sail pretty darn fast. And big sailboats, you want them to heel a little bit. The speed of a sailboat is determined by the water, the length on the water line. So if they heel over, they actually get a little bit longer as they do that. But these boats are planing sailboats, and they get up on top of the water, and when they do that, you got to sail them flat. So that's why the guys are sitting there with their feet dangling over the side. And some of the smaller catamarans, you'll see them actually strap themselves onto a trapeze, which is attached to the top of the mast, and they actually sit on the, not sit, but they actually stand on the outside pontoon and lean way out. That's called hiking, and that gives them a little bit more leverage, a little bit more torque to get the boat to sail flat. So why am I falling so much further behind? You got to pay attention to the wind arrow there. You can see it's turning orange, which means it's a little bit too far off to the side. Anyways, the wave graphics on these things are awesome. I feel like, I could probably put a fishing line out there and catch some fish. It's pretty darn good. Starting to surf a little bit. Maybe we're picking up some speed. We're up to 8.1, but we should still be going much faster than this. So wind is kind of shifting around a little bit. I'm trying to find a heading that'll get me some better speed. Look at how far away that Australian boat is now. They are rounding the mark. They are miles ahead of us. My guys aren't dragging their feet. I don't have seaweed on the bottom, so I'm not really sure what's going on. They went flying by me on that last leg, and I have not been able to catch them or match their speed. Right now I'm just kind of hunting for what I'm doing wrong. So on the bottom, I guess I'll give you a little update there. The clock is ticking away, shows the number of minutes, seconds since the start of the race. It gives you the current actual time too. It's 10:13. TWA is the true wind angle. TWS is the true wind speed. And TWD is the true wind direction. So it's coming from a heading of 063. It looks like, if you look on the compass, that blue arrow is indicating that true wind angle is a boat relative, or a heading off the relative front of my boat. It's coming right on the nose. That would be 0. And if it's off to the back like it is right now, it's about 180. And if it's directly off the side, it's 090. So I'm trying to figure out how to get some boat speed here so I can get back in this race. But I think think this race is essentially over. I'm just a spectator now. Australia is long gone. So down at the bottom, we got some more things. The heading of my boat is HDG 296. The COG is course over ground. You got to take into account the boat slips sideways as it's being blown by the wind. It's not all going forward. There's a little bit of side slippage, and also you got to think about current as well. Current will take you sideways as well. CNM is course to the next mark. So the course to the next mark is 313. We have the BS, which is the boat speed. SOG, speed over the ground. We talked about that. Can be affected by slippage and current. And then DNM, distance to the next mark. We're almost to the next mark. Okay, I'm dropping my sail, and we are slowing to a crawl. My boat speed is 2.6 and dropping. What is going on? I can get out and swim faster than this. Anyways, the heel is a measure of the angle of the lean on the boat. BMG is velocity made good. And AWA, not sure what that is. I'll have to look one up. What's going on? We tried changing some sails here and see what's going on. Put the sails back up. You can see the sails are luffing. And my speed is nothing. What's going on? You can see the sails fluttering. They're pointing directly at that green arrow. And there's a button over on the right that I've just clicked. I'm trying to click everything now, trying to see if I can get my boat going. Ah, there's the problem. Now watch. We're gonna go now. On the very far right, there's that gauge. It looks like a water gauge or something like that. And at the very bottom of that, you see that little yellow button. That was not pressed. And that is how I trim my sails. What a moron. I tell you, this skipper doesn't belong on this regatta. So basically, my sails were going downwind. It didn't really matter too much how well the sails were trimmed. They're going to catch some wind and move the boat along. But going into the wind, you don't have them trimmed correctly. They're just going to flutter and not get you anywhere. So now I've sheeted in basically, and sheets are the lines that control the sail. So a lot of nautical terms there. The sheets control the sails. Pull in the sheets, you sheet them in, tightens up the sail, they push harder against the wind, and that's how you control your boat speed. So now that we got the boat going where we want it to go and at the speed we want it to go, you can see almost dead ahead of me is the Australian boat there heading for the finish line. We still got a couple marks to go. How embarrassing is that? If you look at the radar picture on the left, we're just about ready to round the mark, and then we got to go out to that other mark a little bit further off to the right, and then from there back to the start-finish line. But we got smoked because the skipper didn't know what he was doing. So we're going to round this next mark, the orange buoy there, to port. We're going to pass it on our starboard side, our right side. As we do, we'll come up into the wind and keep that little wind arrow green. And now you can see that orange arrow pointing to the mark that we have to go around. And we can't point directly at it because we'd be pointing straight at the wind. So we got to tack back and forth to get there. Bang! That was the cannon signaling that the Australian boat just crossed the finish line. That's how far behind we are. Boy, that's embarrassing. I still can't get over how cool these graphics are. You can see I'm pointing up a little bit too far into the wind. You can see my sail fluttering a little bit. Not paying attention. That happens when you're so far behind it doesn't matter at this point. But the graphics, the waves, I mean, it is really cool. You can see these big waves rolling in. When the bow hits a wave and it splashes like that, you can see the mark and the foam it leaves in the water. That's pretty awesome. So now we're coming over onto port tack. See how far away that cruise ship is now. They're off to having a wonderful week on the water and partying. So I've hit some buttons on the right. You can see there's a lot more arrows on my compass now. The blue arrow on the compass is the wind direction. The green arrow is the apparent wind. As your boat moves forward, the apparent wind moves forward on the boat as well. Think of riding your bike at 10, 15 miles an hour and there's no wind. Well, it feels like there's wind because you're moving through the air and it feels like the wind is coming right on your face. Well, the faster you go in a sailboat, that apparent wind shifts further and further to the front of the boat. That's what that green arrow is. I think the yellow arrow is the ley line, which as you can see is right on the nose of the boat, and then it should shift off to the left side of the boat as we round this mark. So got the spinnaker up, and we're just now trying to get this race over, keep the boat speed. Look at our speed now. We're doing just over 13 knots. If I got the boat trimmed correctly, and before we were just putzing along at 7. Boy, we were losing a huge amount of time to the Australian boat. So, what is that yellow line? I'm not sure. I'll have to look that one up. So, yeah, green is the apparent wind. Blue is the wind direction, the actual wind direction. And the yellow line is, I don't know. I have to look that one up. So here's the airplane helicopter view of us. The green mark off to the left there, but over by the Australian boat, is the finish line. There's another green mark over to the far right there. That yellow arrow is pointing right in the middle of the course. The ley line on the radar picture on the left is pointing to the center of that mark. And all we gotta do is cross the finish line, and we're about there. Done. How embarrassing. So we lost to Australia. You can see New Zealand, Spain, Italia, France, China, and Australia all won. The rest of us all lost in the first round of the round robin. So I hope you enjoyed that. That was the first video of our Melges Cup. We lost to Australia, but we're going to get them next time. So this is Ram 55. See you out there.